Hello everyone, my name is Editor MansaMusa and welcome back to my channel. Today is episode 2 of the Comm Tower podcast featuring myself, Humita, and our special guest, DevJ. Unfortunately, the intro that we recorded at the time of this episode corrupted, the audio kept coming in and out, so I'm re-recording it now. Mainly the things that we were talking about in that intro was just introducing ourselves, talking a little bit about ourselves, and reminding you to check out episode 1 of the Comm Tower podcast. That'll be linked up top. That was our conversation with Starflash 250. With all that being said, though, let's head back in time to the MansaMusa of the past, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. Bye, guys. We did an episode when we were focusing more on the player side of things. We talked to Starflash 250. This time we're going to the other side of the coin. We're talking to the developers, so the questions are going to be geared towards that a little bit. But with all that out of the way, DevJ, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Name is DevJ. I'm one of the newest Advanced Force by Web developers. I joined in February 8th. And before that, I just did some small scripts for the community, and well, here we are.
Yeah, going from just helping out the team a little bit to officially a member of the dev team, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Steeler, the head lead developer right now, he was like, instead of making user scripts, you just want to add code to the site. And I was like, sure, I can try
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know what the code base was going to be like or the languages or anything like that, but I have a lot of experience programming, so I was able to learn pretty quickly.
Gotcha.
I was gonna say, like you joined and there's been a flurry of new additions. Like
Yeah.
you definitely, I don't know, started just like boom, boom, boom. You started hitting a bunch of things, and now it's been amazing. It's very refreshing, very nice. So thank you.
Oh, glad
Thank
you
you for all
like
the
the
work you do.
changes.
Yeah, I think the dev team as a whole,
The
there's been
changes
so
were
much stuff.
mostly things that I was like, I want to have those things so I can use them in my games.
Yeah.
So you just happen to be there as part of the site as well.
So you're saying that if I want to, all the crazy things that I want on the site, I need to start learning programming and should I get as
That's
a
correct. I mean, you could be like Melody. You could
Flores?
start soon. Maybe someday you could be the new lead developer.
Yeah.
Oof.
Do a little bit of content and a little bit of development. Get the full circle.
Full-time Advanced Force by Web.
Yeah. I think we should just go right into it. Do we want to start with the origin story? So yeah, just a little bit about, I guess, one, how you got into the development space, the programming space, and also a little bit about how you discovered Advanced Wars by Web and how those two kind of mesh together.
Yeah, of course. So I started programming a long time ago when I was a kid because my dad is a systems engineer. So we had a computer at home from a very long time, from the early starts of the internet. I remember when YouTube came out and I made my first YouTube account back in 2004, 2005.
Wow.
And
Oh, wow.
so I learned a little bit of programming then, but I was just copy pasting stuff. Like, I didn't know what anything did. I was just trying to get things to work back then. And there was no ChatGPT, so it wasn't like you could ask for help. And then it wasn't until like I started getting into high school, like around 2010, that I started learning a little bit more programming with Minecraft. Actually, that's how I started programming. Back then, before Minecraft 1.0 was released, there was something called Minecraft Classic, which was free and you could play on your browser. And it was like one of the earliest versions of Minecraft. There was no infinite worlds, there was no survival mode, just creative. And I remember that I liked to play and join servers, and then eventually I played so much that I became like a moderator in a server. And then later on, I started learning more about the servers themselves and the code for that. And then I just went from there for Minecraft, and I went to college. I took computer science classes, and then I was like, oh, so that's what it's actually doing. Before I was just copy pasting, Googling stuff, and I actually understood what it did. And then after I got my bachelor's in computer science, I started doing my PhD, and that's what I'm doing right now. I'm doing a PhD in computer science. As for Advanced Force by Web, I was the 35,000 something user that joined the site. So I was one of the first people that joined Advanced Force by Web. I played Advanced Force by Web growing up in the emulator, a lot of Advanced Force 1 and Advanced Force 2 with my brothers. And when Dual Strike came out, well, I played that a lot. I almost 100% did Dual Strike. And but yeah, I made an account and I played a little bit, but I didn't really understand what was going on because I didn't get the idea of play by mail, where you have to wait for your opponent a few days before
Yeah.
they take their turn. I played like 10 or 12 games and a few official league games in the official league that they had back then. And then I stopped playing for like 15 years. And I started playing again in December or November of last year. And that's when I got
Wow.
back into the community. And it had grown so much. I was like, it's still running. And
Wow.
that's how I
So
got back into Advanced Wars by Web.
did you first start with Advance Wars by web or the cards?
I started with the carts.
Okay. Okay.
Gotcha.
That's
And
how I learned about Advanced Wars by Web. I looked it up on Google.
oh, you looked it up on Google and that's how you found it? Wow.
Yes, Advanced Wars or something. I was somehow I found the site. There was actually Fire Emblem by Web back then too, but I could not for the life of me figure out how to play that game. I didn't finish any game. I tried, like I joined some games and I had no idea what was going on in Fire Emblem by Web.
Damn. I
Rip.
didn't know you were like you had joined from way back then. I thought you were just a very brand new user. That's crazy. That's really cool actually.
Well, I joined, but I didn't actively participate in the last 15 years. So I mean,
What happened that made you come back last year?
I don't know exactly. I think I just started seeing Advance Wars. I have a lot of like gaming videos on my YouTube feed,
Mm.
Yeah.
and I must have seen some Advance Wars stuff because of Reboot Camp, like everyone else. I got the game and I played it, and
Mm.
I must have started getting more things. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I watched YouTuber, like one of the content creators in our community first, and then I was like, oh, I should get back and try it again, or if if I was just like, oh, I want to play some Advanced Wars, because I remember I joined the Reboot Camp Discord that is pretty dead now,
Oh.
and we were all talking about the games, and people were sharing their maps, things like that. So I don't remember exactly when, like what exactly pushed me into it, but I was like, oh, let me try to see if I can log in with my account again. And yeah, I remember my password, so thankfully, 'cause the mail system doesn't work right now for resetting passwords, so
Mm.
I was able to log back in, and
That's
here
really
we
cool.
are.
Yeah. It is crazy how much the site has changed since like the early days, and when the code base was still very small and kind of not user friendly to like. I would already argue what we have right now is like some of the most nicely integrated software that you could possibly have for the complexity that we're doing. Like obviously we still want to improve stuff and whatnot, but like it functions very well right now. I think better like the quality of something that would be officially published if Nintendo was trying to do something like this actually.
Yeah, it's pretty good, but I mean, we've had so long to develop it, so
Yeah,
I don't blame Nintendo.
yeah.
I do.
I wish the reboot camp would have done better. I think it was released at kind of a tough time, and I think in general, Advance Wars as a series is a little bit smaller in terms of obviously all the massive stuff that Nintendo does. But yeah, it would have been nicer if it did better.
I wish they would have updated the game at least once. We're on version 1.0.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean they definitely just like made it and abandoned it, nothing more. And they just like it was just a remake. There was nothing added. That was so disappointing in my opinion.
Oh, Clone Andy was made a playable character. And you could add the volcano and the black cannons, and the mini cannons and the laser to the map.
they do
Again,
have
they
Those
something.
are
did
additions.
nothing.
They do have something over Advance Wars by Web by having Clone Andy playable. They're,
They
they're,
We have a
they're,
Clone
they're
Andy
one
fanatics
super
here, huh?
community.
Yeah.
Um, I I wanted to ask you. Well, I kind of wrote a whole paragraph, but I'm just gonna say I remember doing this stream. This was like a few months ago, I think, and someone had brought it up. I think it was Sergo in the chat or something. I was like, kind of like the topic was like it would be nice that the music player had this function of not restarting the theme, the CO theme, when it was in a mirror matchup, and like you would end your turn, you don't want to start. It would kind of like restart, and in the early days, it was really annoying because it's like, you go quick in a live game. So,
Yeah.
and I remember just bringing that up. I was like, yeah, that'd be cool, but it was Twiggy's music player, and Twiggy was kind of gone. And then all of a sudden, you DM me, and you're like, hey, like I made this extension. It's like the same. It's like a copy of the Twiggy's music player, but with that feature. And I had never heard of your name before. You were a
Mhm.
total stranger to me. And I probably shouldn't have downloaded and like installed a script from someone that I had never met before. I definitely don't recommend anyone doing that.
Probably.
And so definitely don't follow my doing. But I did. I did it, and I think I like checked your, because he sent me like a a link, and then I looked it up. I was like, okay, the guy is kind of legit. Okay, so I installed it, and it worked perfectly. I was like, damn. And then like literally a few days later, you were getting feedback from other people. I remember, and you just like kept improving it. And then like shortly after, you became a dev of the site. Um, I guess I just wanted to ask how did that feel like to join the dev team, and how is that like? Like that Steeler was like, this thing works nice, and it's like just grabbed you and enforced you into the dev team.
Yeah. Um, I was very surprised when Cedar reached out to me because a lot of people post on the development channel, hey, I'm a PHP developer working professionally. How can I join and help the team? Whatever, right? And all I did was, like Humita said, when I saw that video, well, I also use the music player like everyone else. And I
Yeah.
also thought the same thing. I was like, oh, it's pretty annoying, especially like when you have like uh, um, some COs. I can't think of any in the top of my head where the intro repeating is very annoying.
Yeah.
Um, some mirror matches that it's just terrible music. And so I was like, oh, let me look at the code. And then I was like, oh, this is pretty easy. I don't know JavaScript. I just looked at the code and I was like, I can tweak this. And I figured it out and I sent it to you. I was like, oh, we'll see what happens. And then, yeah, I posted it in the community thread in the Discord and people were like, hey, can you add this? And then at some point, I rewrote like part of it and I was trying to make it more like not efficient, but there was like a lot of duplication, like a lot of duplicate code and things like that, and that makes the code a little bit harder to change and maintain. And so I was just trying to like make it easier for me to change it in the future. I rewrote a lot of the code, and I just kept adding features, right? So I started with that, disabling the restarting of the themes. Then I added um, more music, like from the other cartridges, not just the DS, like Advance Wars 2 and Reboot Camp.
Mm.
Well, the Reboot Camp music was already there, but I changed it a little bit. I added the option. Oh, I added some sound effects. Like when you capture, it's
Yeah.
like whoop,
And the pipe seam.
right?
Yeah.
And the pipe seam, right? The pipe seams, and then yeah, I added a little wiggle like from the replay player. When you hit a pipe seam, it went like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then I added like a few more sound effects and more settings. Everyone was like, "Can I have a setting so that the themes always restart every?" That's how I know when I'm playing live that it's my turn because I hear the music starting again.
The amount of
And
requests that you got was so funny. You were
I
like,
was like, "Sure." I mean,
you were like, just throw
I'll
them
have the
all,
fun.
just throw them all. And any other requests?
And then somebody was like, "I don't really like. I don't remember like Andy or Sonja's music. Do we have an option to disable some of the COs or like so that it's always playing that theme?" Like some people really like Sensei's Reboot Camp music, the
Mm.
jazzy do, and they were like, can we always make it so it's always playing just that version? So I added that, and then somebody was like, can we make it so the random music only plays for the soundtrack that I want and not like across the whole, like all of them? And then there were somebody wanted this and somebody wanted that, and yeah, eventually it became pretty packed with features. Although some people don't know that you can right click the icon to open the settings. Some people were like, you can tweak the settings. Yeah. I added a little text when you hover over it. It says right click for settings.
Yeah.
Nice.
Is there
And
any plans on having it like actually on the site?
yeah, so I do want to add it to the site, but uh, if I just add it as it is right now, it wouldn't really help in the long term plan of advanced works by web. So the plan is we have some very old pages that are written like a long time ago, and we're slowly transforming the site like over to new things. And so the game page, game.php, it has like a lot of things happening there.
Okay.
And so that's the page that's gonna take a little longer to like transition to a new form. And the idea is that all of this is gonna become public source. So the front end, so the UI,
Mm.
so
Oh
that other
wow.
people can contribute to the UI. But so my plan is to make the music player an example for other people to know how to add things to Advanced Works by Web, uh, contribute to the site. So I could literally just copy paste the code. Although I don't know if Steeler would approve of that, but I mean we could ask him. Like, can I just add it directly right now as it is instead of it being an extension? And it would work because an extension is just like if you had the code in the site, it's just running everything else. But the idea that is I'm slowly writing, like I'm preparing this project where the front end, which is all the UI, so nothing of the back end, right? So none of the code that tells you like all the unit information or powers or like any of the things that actually happen, just how it looks in the front end. And we want to make that open source. It's already public, kind of, because you could just open in your browser the code and you can look at it. You can
Yeah.
change the style. You could add more code, like we do with the extensions, right? Some more JavaScript. It's kind of public already. It's just not documented and it's not in a place where you can request features to be added and things like that. So that's the plan for. That's one of my plans for this year. It's gonna take a few months to get there, but that's the idea. The music player is going to be the example for other developers to look at and be like, okay, let me see how the music player works. Oh, now I can add my own script that does this, right? So that's the idea. So that's why it's going to take a little bit longer to integrate it into the site. And besides, the music player has been through testing. So we've been having a lot of contributors make music for it, like edit
Oh yeah.
loops from make them better. Then I added the feature where now there's the little intro, right? Like Grid has the little long intro, but when you repeat it, you won't want to repeat the intro, just repeat the main theme, things like that. And we've had a lot of people send me like music samples and audio samples trying to improve the quality of the music or trying to improve the cutoff point so it loops seamlessly perfectly. And so right now, not all the tracks are there, but some of them still need work. Like they need to be cut off better, or we need to get better samples because the one that we have are very low quality or lower quality than the rest. But we're almost there, I think, in terms of features and music. And it's just a matter of time before it's added to the site officially. Um, but yeah, I mean,
Oh.
that's pretty much it about the music player. It's going to be there. It's just it's a bigger project than it looks like because I'm not just adding the code. I'm trying to make it so other people can use it as a reference for their own scripts to be
Mhm.
officially added to the site.
Damn. And if
Yeah.
I guess if someone is listening and they wanna help out with some of the stuff that you need for the music player, like this, like the files and stuff, where should they message you or I don't know?
Well, everyone can DM me on Discord. I always answer to all replies. Or there's a community development thread on the main like AW discussion channel in Discord. But I think for the music, we're okay for now. If you're really good at editing music, feel free to send me a message and I'll send you all the links to the files and you can listen to them yourself and be like, oh, actually, because I
Mhm.
just had somebody that seems to really know about music. He was like, oh yeah, the the frequency of this could be changed to that, and we could run this, and these loops are very low quality, and it's only in one channel instead of
Mhm.
stereo. So if you know about music and you want to contribute, well, just message me. I'll be happy to send you all the files, and you can look at them and see if you want to edit them.
There you go.
Yeah. This is a little kind of tangential, but I'm curious to see if it'll be in the same space. I know personally I use the replay player whenever I'm doing commentaries of games, and I think D just does as well, and a few others use that as well. And then some use the site to do their analysis videos, and then have the plugins, and obviously that's going to be coming to the main site itself. Is there any plans for moving any of that stuff to the replay player, or is that kind of a separate project that has a little bit less connection to stuff coming to the site?
So here's something interesting that you might not know, but Demon Hunter or Diamond Hunter, the creator of the Replay Player app, he was one of the developers in the team last year.
Mm.
And so I think he wanted to, I'm not sure if this, I haven't looked at the chat logs all that much, but I think he wanted to make the side player better. But everyone, I think he got too busy. I don't even think he's been replying to his messages for the current player, because I know some people, whenever a new army gets added, it gets broken. And I remember it took a while before, I think it was for the dinos, I think it took a while for the replay player to be fixed. I think
Yeah.
he's just busy, and so he stepped down from the development team. And same
Oh.
thing for the, I'm sure
Yeah.
everyone also uses the enhancements extension where the move
Yeah.
planner,
Yeah.
for the move planner, right? It's kind of essential. And
Yeah.
Saltor, he's one of the current developers in Advanced Wars by Web. I think he's just been super busy, but I think he also planned to like integrate some of that into the site. I think he just got too busy. So it's more about there were plans to do it, but the people that wanted to do it just didn't have time to get to it.
Mm.
So they remained as separate things and things like that. The replay player has a lot of limitations because the way that it's implemented is a bit strange.
Mm.
It would be it would take a little while because somebody would have to basically rewrite a lot of it from scratch, probably.
Mm.
But I have some ideas about it, and one of our other developers, Steve, uh, he's the one that has written a bunch of scripts that everyone has used. Like before I added the double build, like the double columns.
Yeah.
That was one very good script, and he also had like a bunch of design map scripts and things like that were added to the site eventually. So uh, I know he also wanted to work on the replays to make them better. So we have some plans on improving replays on the site as they are currently,
Mm.
but like making it fully featured like the app, like Demon Hunter did,
Yeah.
which is what a lot of content creators use. I think that's going to take longer, or we don't have enough manpower for it at the moment. But there are plans like we want to add the maps into the replay files so that even if the map changes, the replay will show the map as it was in that time. So that's one of the problems of the replay player right now. If somebody changes the map and you play a replay from that map that
Yeah.
happened a long time ago, some
Yeah.
strange things they're gonna look weird because the map doesn't match. And so we are planning to add the maps into the files, and we're starting some of that. And we're also planning to fix uh, the free for all replays. So the problem is the files become super large for free for all because of the 16 teams, and they play
Yeah.
on the 50 by 50 maps. And
Yeah.
so the problem is not that the files don't have enough space, it's that they are sent to your browser, and the browser has like limits on the file size, and then
Okay.
it also doesn't like it when the files are too big, and the replays are also formatted like a bit strangely, like I said. So there's just a few things there that could be ironed out so that it would actually work properly in your browser. But uh, like I said, I think we just need the manpower for that. I think it's just the people that were working on it seem to be busy, and it's basically just me and Steeler right now, and everyone else is pretty busy.
Mm.
But yeah, we are improving the replays eventually on the
Gotcha.
site. But I mean, the replay player is pretty good, so
Yeah.
I have no
Any
complaints about it.
any spoilers that you can give us about upcoming replay improvements?
Yeah, I just talked about some. You're gonna have the maps. We're gonna fix the free for all so you can actually see the replays, and I we're going to add all the replays back into the site. so you won't have to upload them or download them.
Ooh,
So thanks to
damn.
the generous donations of everyone, Advanced Source by Web has been doing pretty well in terms of funding. So we were able to improve the servers to make them better, so they run faster. And so we upgraded the servers to the next tier. And we also were able to get some storage, like S3 storage. So now we're gonna be able to fit maybe all of them, but I'm not sure. I think it depends on Steeler. He might still remove some replays. Like I'm not sure what the criteria is going to be, but for sure, all the tournament, global league, live league games are gonna have the replays permanently. Probably, most likely. That's what I'm proposing to the team anyway.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
like
I've been working
competitive
on that.
matches.
We are testing it. It's already live on the site. So the replays are already, some of them are already being saved to the remote storage, but we're just testing it right now. Once it's all working, we're going to, Steeler has a bunch of the replays saved on his computer, so we're going to upload those. And whatever's missing, we'll ask Trunit, the owner of the Moo site,
Yeah.
to provide some of the other ones, and hopefully we'll be able to have at least all the official league and tournament games back on the site so that you don't have to upload them. It's still good if you download them so you can have a copy just in case something happens to the site.
Yeah.
But at least you won't have to do go to the upload replay and then it only lasts 2 days.
And you have to rename the file because if not, it won't let you. Someone re-upload
And you have to rename
it.
the file.
Yeah.
Damn, that's hype. That's really cool. Do you have any recommendations of how you go about it to kind of finish what are your goals that you set yourself to?
Yeah, so I mean, it's all about being hopeful but realistic, right? You need to, it's like, well, it's the time management and the project management that I have the experience with because I'm doing a dissertation, right? So the fact that I've been working on a PhD project for multiple years and breaking it down into pieces, I think that's part of it. But also, there's no way we can fix or add everything that everyone wants to decide, right? So it's just a matter of picking and choosing your battles, right? Like, I have some projects long term that I want to do. Like I said, I want to open source a repo, but like at least if I stop, the music player extension is there, right? And
Yeah.
that's what happened with everyone else, right? All of their work is still there. We still use the Move Planner extension. We
Yeah.
still use the original music player before I came in. So it's more of project time management, right? Like, and also, I don't think it's the fact that they took too big of a task. I think it's more of you never know when you're gonna have the availability to work on a free sidelines project, right?
Yeah.
Where none of us are getting paid for it, then we have to pay the bills, right?
Of course.
So you have to go to your job, and sometimes you get more work, and sometimes you have a family, you get some kids or things like that, and so it's. I don't think they were too ambitious in some of their projects. I just think life happened, and since it's all volunteer, they were one of the first things you'll cut on your hours is the advanced force by web hours, right? You'll start creating less games,
Yeah.
and you'll start developing less code,
Yeah.
and then you start interacting less with the community. Like that's one of the first things you cut off. So I think it's more about I've done a lot of small tasks to get acquainted with the code base, but I don't think it's necessarily like problem of the scope that has been the plaguing advanced source by web over the years. I think it's more of it's a volunteer project, right? So even Steeler, our current lead developer, he's working, right? So it depends when he's free to review our code that we submit to him and when he's free to fix the site. So sometimes people will be like, my game is broken, I can't play my turn, but Steeler won't be able to get to it for a few days, right? And he
Yeah.
always says, why did you resign? It's gonna take me a few days to go through your issues. So some people just don't wait. They're like, oh, just FF,
Yeah.
just resign, just set a draw. And so for new developers, I think just like with any project, you should do some small things to get started, to get acquainted with it. But I think there's a lot of good examples on the code base. There's like a lot of good code. and Steeler is a very good reviewer. He'll every time I submit a change, he reviews all the code, and then he gives me feedback. So he's like, do this or remove this, or you should change this, or he asked me to have a discussion. Do you think we should do it like this, or do you have any better ideas of doing this? So I think we have a really good lead developer and a lot of good code examples. But the code base is very large. There's like a lot of code. But yeah, I mean, the only reason I've added a lot of features was because I've been procrastinating a little bit on my schoolwork. So it's just a matter of free time, I think.
Yeah.
That's fine. No, yeah, I mean, I think I can speak for the vast majority of people when I say that I'm deeply, deeply appreciative of all the work that the current devs, you and Steeler that are more active, and all the past devs that have done. Definitely, like the replay viewer of Damon was like amazing, you know, like now that the site replay viewer is getting better and better, maybe perhaps with more extensions and all the things that you guys are working on that will eventually come out. But the replay viewer is like, wow, like that must have taken a lot of work, or I don't know, it seems like, 'cause it looks sick. And yeah, there's been so many projects, like just I guess a lot of scripts that certain devs have done, and then some stuff that has been done on site, and doing it for free on your free time, and maybe not getting enough praise as well for it, you know. So yeah, I definitely I applaud you guys, and yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks. Glad you like the changes.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, free, but one time one person sent me some money for the music player. So
Nice.
they were like,
Nice.
"Can I send you money?" And I was like, "Oh, I'll have a lunch here." So
Yeah.
I had some lunch on them. Thanks
Nice.
to that person that sent me the donation. I got to eat some food.
Nice. I mean, I kind of feel like, and this, I know some of the admins are gonna be are gonna be against what I say, but I feel like the devs could take or should take a cut of the donations on the site, because it's a lot of work. But that's just my opinion.
It's okay. I don't think the other devs need it because they all have full-time jobs. I'm just a graduate student. That's why. But soon I'll have a job, so I'll graduate soon. So I'll be fine. I think it all goes to Amarriner, if I'm not mistaken. 'Cause he's the one paying for all the servers and everything all this time, like since the site started.
Yeah.
He's still here. Like, he's just working, but he'll reply to our messages and stuff. Sometimes he'll
Wow.
be like super busy and he won't see anything. But I know a few months, last month or 2 months ago, he posted on the dev channel. He was like, "Hey guys," and so he's
Wow.
a little bit here right now. He's just not actively contributing, and he's the one that bought the storage that I'm talking about for the replays with the
Mm,
money. He's the one doing all the bills, and
damn.
he also answered some of the questions that I had about the history of the site and Walker that I added to because everyone kept asking, why do we have like all these part inaccuracies, right? Like, why are pipe seams treated as neon tanks on roads instead of medium tanks on roads, like on the cartridges? And it's all just basically, it's been there for 10 years and nobody fixed it, basically.
Yeah.
And now it might have big repercussions if we change it because a lot of maps might be affected by it.
Right.
And so some bugs were left because of that, like the ghost units or the teleport tiles. They were there for 10 years, so they just left them there because it would just mess up with a lot of the site.
That's
So
actually
yeah, Amarriner is here.
Yeah, I think that's actually a great transition, because one of the things that we wanted to ask you about was like the development team and like their thoughts on accuracy to the cartridge games versus like stability within the scene. Because obviously, you know, there's discussions that have happened previously, like nerfs and buffs for people like Kindle. So like the Kindle discussion is an interesting one, right? Because she was considered overpowered for tier 3, but still wasn't cartridge accurate. And by making her cartridge accurate, it was actually a buff. So then there was the decision to put her into tier 2. So I guess what does those conversations look like in the dev team between like 100% accuracy versus like stability within the community and just trying to keep things as normal as possible?
So the lead developers all have the same thought. So the current lead developers are Steeler and Matsusen, but Matsu is been like working and doing other stuff. So it's been Steeler that's been doing everything basically since a while. After Walker stepped down, it was basically passed on to Steeler. And so Steeler's thoughts are that Advanced Wars by Web isn't really Advanced Wars by Web if it's not card accurate. Then it's not really Advanced Wars, right? That's what our current lead developer thinks. So the idea is if you're gonna fix a bug that already exists, it should be fixed so it becomes more card accurate. Uh, but we don't have to fix all the bugs if we don't want to, right?
Sure.
So, for example, like I said, the pipe seams, right? They're not card accurate, but we don't have to fix it. But if we were to change it, we would make it card accurate. So that's basically the idea. Card accuracy over anything at the moment. But of course, we care about the scene, right? We don't want Advanced Wars by Web to die. So Steeler, our currently developer, he's planning to create a rebalanced mode eventually. If it happens, hopefully. I mean, it depends. Maybe he'll get too busy and abandon the project, and somebody else have to take over. But the idea is we're working towards changing the site so it's easier to change the COs in the future, to change their stats and their CO powers, and make them more balanced so they're not spread out so much in the tiers. And of course, that has its own problems, right? I mean, just look at League of Legends. They're always balancing every patch, and no one's ever fully happy with the way the balance changes are.
Right.
And even in Tiny Wars, there's a lot of balance changes. So I don't think there's going to be like a perfect solution or perfect world. But Advanced Wars by Web, in essence, will always be Advanced Wars, right? So whoever plays the cartridges will always be able to play the game just like in the cartridges, with all the bugs, like I said, that we just left behind. Some of the quirks, like the transports boosting, that was a bug that we just left behind that we're not going to fix because no one wants to fix it. But if we were going to have like a rebalance mode, we could have a card mode where it's all card accurate.
Yeah.
And rebalance mode could be like Advanced Wars by Web, like a separate thing. And we don't know exactly how it's going to turn out. We don't know if it's going to be like the league, the official league, is going to turn into the Rebalanced League, right? So it's only going to be one competitive game mode, and that's it. And then if you want to play card accurate, you're going to have to play with your friends, but no official games. Or maybe that we're going to have two leagues, right? The classic Advanced Wars by Web League as we have it right now, and everything stays the same. And we have a new Rebalanced League with a new ladder and new everything, right? So
Sure.
do we split the community? Do we have everyone together and push all the people that want to play Advanced Wars by Web Classic aside? And just so there's a lot of questions to be answered, hard questions, and there's a lot of discussions. Some people are like, we don't need to fix Advanced Wars by Web. It's already good as it is. Some people are like, it needs to be rebalanced. JJ is always saying, please add DS Honja and DS Jazz.
Yeah.
So shout outs to JJ. He's always been advocating for it.
I think at least my personal opinion on it, which I know there's probably 80 million opinions on this type of stuff, but I think it does make sense, the idea of having a cart accurate league and then like an Advanced Wars by Web league, if that makes sense. So like, because like stuff like the transport change that you were talking about, like I think people at this point know that transports are different on Advanced Wars by Web than they are on cartridge, but they also, I would say, the vast majority of people appreciate that and like that. So if we did change it to go back to being card accurate, I think there would be a lot of dissatisfaction with that change, even though it is more accurate. Like, I think because like a lot of the transports in Advanced Wars kind of stink without the like boosting ability that we currently have on the site. So like I think it does make sense to split it up, and I definitely think there are a few balance changes that would make sense that are also not card accurate, like cruiser buffs. I think is something that people have been talking about for a while, where it's like just card accuracy wise, cruisers are just very weak. And I know there's been a lot of discussions about trying to buff them, even though it's not card accurate. But
well, yes, cruisers are better, but
yeah,
Advanced Wars by Web is based on Advanced Wars 2. It was created before Dual Strike came out.
Yeah.
I think that if there were to be a rebalance mode, I feel like the competitive scene would have to be on the rebalance mode.
Yeah.
Because like, just on the classic, that feels like really bad. Like, I don't know. Like,
I think current global league would have to be in this balanced mode, and then the cart accurate league would just be something new that we would have to create if we wanted to do that.
yeah, because like what we have, I think it's a little bit closer to that somewhat rebalance mode. It would just like enhance on certain things. Like, yeah, maybe you change some certain COs or the pipe seam thing, or maybe even add new tiles. I mean, I guess, yeah, you can definitely kind of explode and go in many different directions with just a few changes. But I don't know, like if the rebalance mode is kind of like the objective of it is to serve more of a competitive, balanced kind of dynamic and like different choices instead of just picking the same CO kind of thing. And if you just have both, it seems like a little bit redundant. Or I don't know, I feel like as a competitive player, like if it was me, I would just go to the rebalance mode because it feels like it is going to be the most competitive scene, more balanced. You know, it's going to be more interesting. There's going to be more options rather than the classic. It's just like, oh, it's just for nostalgia. So it's like for that you can just, in my opinion, it's just like the classic would be for casual gaming, setting up with your friends, whatever you want, and then rebalance would be like the actual global league and the tournaments and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And the patches would change the competitive league every few months, right? Just like league, the meta would change every once in a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that seems. I'm not the one implementing it. It's Steelers, so
Yeah.
you'll have to answer all the hard questions.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah. How big of a task would you say is the rebalance mode?
If we added it as right now as with current code base, it wouldn't be too difficult, but it would be impossible to maintain for the future.
Mm.
So the idea is Steeler has been rewriting part of Advanced Wars by Web slowly. Well,
Wow.
we all have like slowly been rewriting Advanced Wars by Web, but the next step is to rewrite like more parts of it and make them more, I would say maybe like modular or something like that,
Yeah.
where the COs are a bit more dynamic, right? Where we could give, for example, Andy's power to another CO, or where we could tweak the settings easily, right? Where we could combine powers or day-to-day abilities. Because right now, a lot of it is pretty fixed in the code. It's hard-coded. So it's like if CO name equals Andy, do this. If CO name equals clone Andy, do this, right? So it's more of we're
Living in the
working
clone
towards
Very different code. Very different code between those two.
very different code. I mean, uh, the idea that Steeler has is we're gonna put in a lot of effort in the beginning so that later on, whoever is developing Advanced Wars by Web can do the balance changes without having to do a lot of coding. So you either do a lot of code now and like have a lot of technical, we call it technical debt. Like somebody owes that, and it's gonna be the future developers that pay for it. It's gonna be harder for them to maintain if we add it as it is right now than if we do a big project to rewrite Advanced Wars by Web in some form. Not all of it, right? Just like the COs and some of the other things that are related to that, so that later on they can easily change the balance of the game, even if it's not us. But yeah, I mean, it's short term versus long term, right? Like I can add the music player already, but it's not going to be in its best form as it could be, right? So you have to pick which projects you're going to dedicate more time to for future developers.
Yeah. I think it's really awesome that you guys are actually focusing on that to like trying to focus towards the long term stuff because it'd definitely be easier to just try to put stuff in now with what you currently have and doing it like that and just say like future problems are for future people. So yeah, that's cool that you guys are really taking the effort to make sure everything is somewhat future proofed.
Yeah, we're just trying to make it so the site can grow better later, right? So for example, once we rewrite the game page, somebody could write a mobile client for Advanced Works by Web, right? So it's more like the more we work on the site, the more other people could do things with the site. Because right now, like I said, everything is kind of internal, right?
Yeah.
You can't do a lot of things on the site as a script developer, I mean. So hopefully, over time, there will be more opportunities for other developers to contribute, but also for the new developers to be able to improve the site in a little bit more of a streamlined fashion or a bit easier. So hopefully, I mean, the site is already easier to modify than it was back in 2010, right? Back when, before the refreshless interface, when you had to refresh the page to see the units move and things like that. A lot of code has already been changed, and the process of development has been changed a lot. Now, it's more open to more people like me, right? That I just joined. Before, I think they had like a very small team, like a Walker and Amarriner and some of the other developers. They were like more just them. But now we have like me or Soforent, or even when we had Demon Hunter and Piggy. Like the current front page, the homepage with the the cool slides where you hover and then that was all Twiggy's work. So um, we have a lot of good developers that have gone through the code base over time, and I'm sure we'll get many more new developers in the future.
I have a question. I wouldn't call it spicy, but maybe. But is it true that devs can control luck rolls? And have you ever played around with it?
So there's a half truth to it, and it's not 100% true. So the site admins, they have full access over everything on the site.
Okay.
It's their site. So technically speaking, if Steeler wanted, he could tweak the luck rolls for himself, right? Because he's the
And no
site
one would
admin.
notice.
No one would know. The only people that could check are Walker, Matsusen, Amarriner, and I don't know if Compton has access to the code. He's also a site admin, but I don't know if he has developer access. But no one would know, right? Because I can't see the code that's actually on the site. So he technically could. I can't. I wish. I could speak my own. I have my own version of the site where I test things before we add them to the site, right? Because it doesn't make sense to test on the real site. I'm gonna break a lot of things. I already broke about a lot of things in the site. I don't know if you noticed, but when I added the auto start timer, where it says X amount of time before the game auto starts for your tournament, 32 tournament games were auto started early.
I think I remember hearing about that in the
I'm
Discord.
sorry to all those people.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to all of you that had to be kicked out back to the lobby and you got to see your opponent CO. My bad. JJ wanted to change the timer from 48 hours to 72 hours. And I updated the timer and I accidentally auto started all those 32 games. But yeah, I mean, I have my own version of the site. So, for example, I could add Clone to my site and test them, or I could make custom terrain and have a tournament on it or something, right? So all developers have their own version of the site. And I have two versions. I have one in my desktop, and I have one hosted on a server online so I can invite other people to help me test it. So, for example, for hot seating, I asked JJ and Soforent, go to this link, make an account, and play some games against yourself. And then once I was a bit more confident in it, we have a testing site on the site itself, on the official site, where you type the URL and then slash the branch. So, for example, Matsusen or Steeler, and they're testing things in it. And sometimes we'll send links of those to content creators or map testers. Like I remember we posted on the map testing channel, and we were like, guys, can you please play some games against yourself on this site?
Yeah.
And I know Humita, he was like, oh, there's this problem when you have two tabs open. And I was like, how would you have two tabs open of the same game? But then I was like, okay. And then I opened it, and
Me
it
with
didn't
my
work when you have
8,000
two tabs
tabs
open
of
because
Move Planner.
You
I
asked for
never
both,
tested
I
it with two
said though.
tabs. I never tested it with two tabs because I was just playing against myself in the same tab. But then I was like, oh yeah, it doesn't work for two tabs. And so yeah, that's basically it about. It is possible, but only Steeler, Walker. Well, I don't think Walker has access to the server anymore now that I think about it because he's already
Oh wow.
retired. I'm not sure. Maybe he still does because he's an emeritus admin. So even though he's retired, he's still there.
Right.
But I'm not sure. Steeler for sure has access to it though. Maybe you
Dang.
have to be careful when you play Steeler in a tournament. You never know if those
And
smoke rolls are actually legitimate.
in the live
He's
league,
been winning a
right?
lot of his tournament games.
Yeah,
He's been
I
winning
saw.
a lot of tournament games recently. I don't know if you
Yeah.
noticed his record. It's been getting higher.
Those 2 hit KOs on City, 33% chance. I can steal it might be a bit more than 33% chance.
If people are messing
Damn.
around with luck rolls, let me tell you, I think I got some of Alagatua's luck because I've been hitting like 20, 30%ers and watching that video where he like, I think failed a 90, a 70, and then a 90 back to back to back is pretty brutal. But
Oof.
yeah, I think he said it was like a 1% chance for that to happen or less than a 1% chance to happen. One of the questions I wanted to ask you is actually kind of about the news features on the Discord itself, which is the event committee. I just kind of wanted to learn a little bit more about that. So, what did you guys have for the goals for that committee? Do you think it's going to take a little bit of pressure off the devs? I know some members of the committee are also devs, and it's kind of crossing in that way. But do you think that'll ultimately take a little bit off y'all's plate and put a little bit more in the community to help out in the dev space?
Well, all the events have always been community based. I mean, I don't think as the dev team we've done too many side events, right? Where
Yeah.
other than like the Tier Zero week on April Fools or things like that. For example, the tournaments, JJ runs those, right? He's a moderator, one of the site admins, and he's not a developer. And he's been the one running all the Pack Cups and the Amarriner Cups, right? So I think the event committee is good because there's a lot of people that have wanted to get resources, learn about how to host events or get some resources about events or even just help making banners and things like that from the artists of our community. So I think it's a really good addition, but I don't think it was ever like a load on the dev team to do events. I don't think anyone on the site ever expects devs to do events because basically everyone else is doing events, right? Like we had the Anonymous Player Club. Soforen had his other tournaments. Forgot what they were called. And then we had all of JJ running the official side events. We have a bunch of exhibition matches and things like that. I remember Manx had the Naval tournament and things like that. So I think it's always been on the community's hands to do the events. And as a developer team, we're always glad and happy to help our content creators as much as we can within reason. So, for example, we have tools on the site to do tournaments that are not official on the site. We call them off-site tournaments. And we have the tools there to make brackets and things like that. I know some creators have used some of those after asking from permission nicely. But I mean, I've never used any of those tools, so I don't know how they work or how good they work or what the requirements are to use it. But we're happy to provide things for the community when it's not too much of a burden. Like I know some people want to have Tier Zero back in the unranked or unrated live queue.
Yeah, that'll be sick.
And I think it would be nice to have some events like not necessarily just Tier Zero, but like having I don't know HFOG, like High Funds Fog, or having Tag in like, or having some 2v2 where you control two countries, right?
Yeah.
With the new hot seat feature, or even simple things like medium funds, right? Where the funds start at 1,500, where it's a big movement happening right now.
No,
but it's one
not
of
real.
You got low
I'm
funds
just saying
too.
that it's one of the easier things to change, right? Like just changing the funds as compared to making some of the other stuff. Because you also have to think about the maps. You have to gather the maps, and
Yeah,
you
that's
have
kind
to
of
categorize them correctly so that the live league code pulls them properly. And tags are really hard to add to the live league because they weren't really coded for tags, so there's a lot of code that needs to be added for it. And so, but things like changing the fonts or the fog or some of the other settings, a bit easier to tweak, or the maps. So I think it would be nice to have some official developer events on the site, like in the live league. Sorry, in the live queue, like we did for Year Zero. Maybe other than the tournaments, right? Good to have something more interesting. But overall, we're happy to help, and the committee has been running this whole thing all along. So I'm happy for the event committee, and I'm looking forward to all future events that I'm definitely not attending, but I'm supporting you guys.
One of the topics that we brought up actually in the last podcast that I'm very curious about, not to throw more ideas at you, but we were talking about this and we thought it would be a cool idea, is like a puzzle rush mode where you have a set state board where, like, let's say you're on day 10 of a position and you could have this like once a week, and you could say like the goal is to kill the rockets in the back of your enemy's position. And it would just be kind of a way to get people to find interesting tactical positions and get better that way without having to play like full games and really commit to that. Yeah, but we were talking about like what's the best way to do it, and like how do you have people vet the maps and vet the positions to like figure out the best play and whatnot. But I was kind of curious on your end from the development side how realistic something like that could be as a game mode added to the site.
I think that's a very interesting thing. Reminds me of the chess puzzles, right? Where you go to train on how to play chess by looking at several positions and trying to do the check in two or whatever, right? So
yeah,
I think that's a very interesting thing. I know some people are already doing the puzzles in the Discord where they'll send the pictures and they'll be like, try to figure this out, right?
Mm-hmm.
In terms of development, I've been testing something on the back, which is being able to take a game that already finished and a specific turn and making a new game on that turn so you could play it out differently.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, instead of doing the move planner, you could create a hot seat game where you're both players, but it goes back to that specific start of the turn. And you could play it out differently. So it is possible to like have like a load like previous board states and things like that on the site. You just have to create a new game for it, but you can load all the units and all the tiles and all the healths of the units even down to the decimal, so they have the same chip damage.
Oh wow!
So it is possible to do puzzles and things like that. I think the only thing that currently would have to be added is we don't have any other win conditions.
Mm-hmm.
So you either win by resign, draw, or rout, right? Or capture, sorry. So maybe we could add some other win conditions, but if we added it right now to the side, I think it would be mostly like the game wouldn't end as soon as you did whatever the puzzle wanted you to do. You would have to end the game yourself. But it's definitely possible to do, maybe in the future, something like that. I think it would be interesting. And then the map committee could go crazy because not only will they have to review the current maps as they do now, but they'll also start to review and create these puzzles for the site. So thanks, map committee, for all your work, and I'm looking forward to all the puzzles in the future. So start thinking about your puzzles.
It's fine. Monty has our backs. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm sure he can handle more map submissions. Yeah, that's awesome though to hear that, because I think that feature in general, going outside of the puzzle rush capability, but just as a feature in itself, I think it'd be great, because there's definitely times where I've thought about like, okay, I've lost this game, and I think it was on this turn that I've lost this game. If I could go back, what would I do differently? And like having to set that game back up into the position it was like on my own and like a hot seat, myself versus an ult, that type of thing was always kind of a pain. So to have an ingrained feature that was like just trade a game from this save point would be an awesome feature just in general.
I tested it and it seems to work. I could add it now if it was just you playing every position and no other people could join it, and only for computer games because it had the chip damage.
Yeah.
But I think I could add it in the next few weeks or next few months once I finish everything that I'm assigned to right now. to finish, like the replays. So that's the next thing that I'm working on. So we can have all the replays on the site. I'm almost done with that. But yeah,
Let's go.
spoilers. Maybe we'll get a create game from this point feature. Maybe.
Damn.
I have
That'd be
the code, but there's no UI for it. There's no button and there's no anything for it.
I love all the spoilers that you've been dropping on this episode.
Yeah, they're all great. No.
All the spoilers are on Discord, I think.
Yeah.
True. There's a lot of spoilers on this game, but
I'm very open about everything that we've been working on.
Yeah.
that's sick.
That would be awesome, though. Hope maybe one day we'll have a puzzle committee that figures out these set state boards and puts them up on the site. That would be awesome.
Yeah. That could be also a nice tutorial section for Advanced Wars by Web. I know a lot of people have trouble getting started with the site. Like, might be good. Or I was thinking that even having in those situations like simple AI just to learn how to move units and things like that, right?
Yeah.
Instead of hot seating, just not to play games or anything like that, but just like in the cartridges, right, where you learn how to move units and deploy from bases and things like that. Just for the people that really need it. Some people seem like they need a little bit more help to get started.
Yeah.
That'd be actually really, really, really good to have like a sort of mini tutorial for brand new players. Just having like a few maps set up or
Basics
and with that like here move this boom 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 and then the other the player 2 kind of automatically moves with a predetermined script that moves from this infantry to this style or attack or something like that. That could be
I think that
really
would be I think that could be nice for, like I said, for site players without putting too much work into think about an AI, right?
Yeah.
Like AIs for Advanced Wars by Webs, it's a lot of work. There's some people working on a site AI like for themselves, but I mean in general, even the intelligent systems developers took a lot of time to think about their AIs.
Even if it's a situation where like they force you to like it's like the Nell basic training where it's like move your tank here and then like it'll only happen if you do move your tank there and then your AI opponent responds because it's going to be a set state position. Like I still think that's fine because then you get the basics of moving units, building units, maybe some important concepts like unit coverage. Like it can show you an example of like, hey, this tank attacked your tank, but because you moved yours in position on the previous turn, you can get a winning engagement and stuff like that. Like some of like the basics of very simple strategy, I think would be a great help to some of the newer players on the site because as much as we've said in the past, like go watch the videos, go watch the replays, check out some of the videos that teach you how to get better at the game. Doing it yourself and then getting those like on-site examples, I think would probably be even better.
Yeah, and in that also like instead of just having the CO descriptions, I know some YouTubers will say Max as like specialist for these types of maps and things like that. Like having a little description of each CO and when you typically would pick them or when they would be good.
Yeah.
That would also probably be good because some people, they don't know all the COs, right? And they don't know when should I pick Kindle, when should I pick Max, when should I pick Von Volt. And maybe having a little description other than what they already have, right? Which is a direct unit specialist with extra firepower, right? It could be more like when a map has a lot of cities, Kindle would be good or something like that, right? So maybe just having a little bit more help for beginners might be good. Like I added the tier list display. That's one of the most highly requested features on the site, which is when you pick a CO to join, it doesn't tell you which tier they're at for that map.
Yeah.
And so now
that was a huge change.
Now, and that was also something every time I had to open the chart, and I'm like, what tier is this character in this type of game mode? And that makes it a lot easier for new people as well. They're like, oh,
for sure.
Tier 1.
The fact that it changed map to map too, like there would be certain maps where Sammy is tier 2 or tier 3 in standard based on like the position of stuff. It was just like a real pain in the neck to try to keep track of before the update.
Yeah, and
well, that only works for league maps though.
Yeah.
Oh wait, really? Like it doesn't do that in the global league tournament?
For everything else, it uses the global list for that game mode, not for the map.
Oh, okay.
That's why a lot of people were when we had tournament. One was it Quad Cup or one of them? They were like, "Oh, this character is super high." So we had the tier 0 plus tier 1, right? But I don't remember exactly the details. And but we told JJ that if he wants, we can add the capability so he could set the tiers for the tournament games so they're displayed in the specific order,
So like
like
for
they do with the
example,
global league.
no, I mean for example, in a map that has no comm towers, like, and you're doing like tier 4, for example. Javier is tier 4, right? But on the thing you're saying it would show like the normal tier 4, and then Javier all the way at the top also enabled, just like him,
Oh,
right?
I'm not sure because some COs have exceptions to their to what they say on the global chart. So so for example, Javier, I know there's code that will ban Javier if there's more than 3 towers for live league and things like that. So
Mm.
it's some of it's automatic. So I'm not sure what would happen. How we would have to test it out. But Javier is always like pretty high, so I'm not sure. We can test it and see. But it's mostly where it matters. It's there, right? For all the official games except for the tournament games. For everything else, it's all on rated games between friends or competitors. So
Right.
in there, the tier list is not as critical to know as it would be.
Yeah.
But if you don't look at the map and you pick Javier and there's no towers, well, and it says that it was tier 1, uh, that's not on me, okay? That's on you. You should have opened the map.
All right. So the idea here of the lightning strike round is we're going to give you just a list of words here or a list of topics, and you have to respond, let's say like 1 to 3 words for each. So it just has to be fast responses, immediate reaction to each of them. And we did make a house rule after the first episode with Starflash that you can't say good or bad. That video hasn't been posted yet, but once it's posted, you'll see timeline story here. But when we're
Good,
recording this, the first one hasn't been posted
good.
yet. But yeah,
But
Starflash
you
did
can
say.
repeat the answer also because he was like good, bad, bad. It's
Yeah.
like, come on.
we did go into a little bit more of the details after the initial
Yeah.
reaction, so we'll probably do that as well. But yeah, just going right into
Okay.
it. The first one on the list is luck mechanic.
Okay, not bad. I like
Gotcha. The second one is Advanced Wars by Webb's spaghetti code.
spaghetti code.
Yeah,
Nah, not that much.
not that much. Nice. It's good to hear. Your favorite CO?
Sturm.
Term.
Sturm. Oh, very nice. It's one of my favorite COs as well. I love getting to play him in Tier 1 Fog. Favorite
I wanted to
CO?
play him at DS.
Yeah. Favorite CO theme song?
Sensei Reboot Camp. Or Sonya as well.
Oh yeah. I love a good Sonya theme. And last on the list, Amarriner.
Mariner?
Yeah.
Oh, he's awesome.
Yeah. The Godfather, the historian.
Legendary. He's a legend.
Legendary. True.
Is there any on that list between Luck Mechanic, the Spaghetti Code, your favorite CO theme song, and Amarriner, and just any of those that you wanted to dive into a bit further? It's okay if not, but
A lot of people talk about luck mechanics like they're a bad thing. They're like, oh, it would be great if we remove the luck mechanics. I think the bad luck mechanics are bad. I think Sonya's
yeah.
like possibility of doing less than normal. I think those should be removed, especially if we do a rebalanced mode. But I kind of like the thrill of, when you roll that luck chance and you destroy that unit. Of course, when it doesn't die, that's when you're like, that's 1 HP, probably like 0.1 hit, 0.1 health.
Yeah.
But when it's good, it's like gambling, right? When it's good, it feels so good, right? It makes it so fun. It feels like I'm playing like a game, right? Like with my friends.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like I have to be perfect like at everything. I don't have to perfectly plan all my moves. I don't have to perfectly do this. I feel like I'm just enjoying the game. I don't know. I have fun with the luck. I know some people don't like it. A lot of people want it removed, but I think it's a fun mechanic.
Yeah.
That's a good
I
tip.
wouldn't change it as like I wouldn't make it higher or lower or anything like that. I'll just remove the bad luck. But I kind of like it. I have fun with it.
I'm a luck enjoyer as well. I think it's needed, right? Because we're already such an incredibly tactical game where like the moves, like what is actually objectively the best move in a position is so in the weeds at times and really hard to find. I think luck adds a nice bit of like just a little bit of randomness to a very skillful game in a way that I think is helpful because there's a famous quote. It's like if players will always find the most optimal way to play a game, and if the most optimal way to play a game is boring, then that's a fault of the game and not the players. So I think having the luck to spice up the game a little bit and not make it just kind of a boring, find exactly the perfect move because you know exactly what's going to happen is very needed.
Besides, I mean, Rip and Voice of Akasha and all of them, they all played with the same luck that we all did. So how come they're higher than us in the rankings, right? So
Yeah.
is luck really that determining for like overall? Of course, it might lose you one game or two or three, right? You might lose a tournament because of it, but all the good players eventually will rise to the top of the ladder or to the tournaments, right? They'll win several of the tournaments or they'll place really high. So, I mean, I get the frustration where you lose a lot of elo sometimes to luck, but everyone plays with the same luck, and we have super high elo players in the 1300s.
Yeah. Yeah, and now with power creep up into 16, 17, and 1800s. It's crazy how high some people's elos are now. But yeah.
At 18, the only one.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, that might change because I think elo might be getting. I don't know if the ladder elo is going to change,
Another
but I
spoiler?
think Steeler is planning. No, he already talked about this. We're planning, or I'm not planning. Steeler is planning. Steeler is planning on making the overall elo also taking into consideration your tournament games,
Mm,
because that's. I think it's been the seeding problem with JJ where he has to spend a lot more time seeding the players because there's some tournament players that have zero official games,
yeah.
but they've
Becky.
won so many tournament games.
Yeah.
Of course, there's also some other players like Red Flower who won so many unofficial anything games. Where I mean, he played like 100 Z games one time at the same time,
Yeah.
and so of course he beat a bunch of people in it. And he's very skilled, but he has I don't think he plays any ranked modes at all. So I think eventually the tournament is going to be part of the overall elo. I just don't know if it's going to affect the rankings on the ladder where you see it. It might just be an invisible thing for seeding, or maybe on your profile it will be there or something. I don't know. I don't know what Sealer is planning to do. I just know right now I think it's only Global League and Live League that's used for your seeding,
Mm,
and tournament games don't count for any elo at all. So, but they are official games technically. I mean,
right.
Yeah.
they are. I added the little blue text that says tournament, but on the code it is an official game.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah. That'll definitely make those tournament games people care just that little bit extra more if that gets added.
Oh yeah, I was
Yeah.
actually thinking about that. Like, I mean, myself included, but I can think of Starflash as well. Like he's like, tournaments on site, whatever. So all of a sudden, if you're losing seed or that kind of stuff on tournament games, like okay, maybe I'll play a little bit better. I'll
Mm-hmm.
be
Yeah.
a bit more careful.
Good thing for the community, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's fun because Steeler has been talking about it. People are like, well, it doesn't make sense for different game modes, but overall, the trend. If you think about it, if you have right now, we're combining standard and fog elo anyway into your overall rating. So
Right.
those are completely separate modes, and we're still combining them. So adding tournaments, even though they're separate, is all. If you're good in high fonts, doesn't mean you're good in standard, but we're considering everything together for your seeding and things, hopefully in the future.
Yeah. Sounds great. I think we should just go right into outros. So, yeah, DevJ, if you want to shout out anything that you're planning for the future, I know you've given us some spoilers so far about some of the projects you're working on, but anything going on that you just want to let people know about, and then yeah, we'll get out of here.
Yeah, the next feature should be after the replays. Should be being able to select the portraits for every CO individually.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Look forward to choosing your favorite pictures.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
we're adding some extra images for you to pick from. So you'll
Community
see
made?
what they are. You'll see what they are when they're added to the settings. And so look forward to having. I'm also adding the ability for you to change your settings. So when you play your opponent, you see the picture that they selected for that CO. So that could make for some funny things as well. Like if you play Grim Guy and they specifically pick a different picture for Grim, like one of the ones that we're adding, and
Yeah.
every time you play Grim Guy, he would always have that picture as his picture. But of course, you could always just set your pictures to be like the default one, so you don't see anybody else's choices. It depends. It's up to you. But yeah, that's upcoming CO portraits. More of them and per CO selection. So, and I also submitted the code for. I know a lot of people are misclicking on mobile.
Mm.
So now there's a confirmation if you want to buy a unit, it's like, do you want to buy this unit for sure? Then you click OK. So mobile users, please stop sending me messages about how you misclicked. I added the double build column and I separated the pipe runners, and people will still misclick the other units.
Yeah.
So
Really?
with this, none of you can complain anymore, mobile users.
It's yeah, I can see how it happens. I mean, small screen and like, tiny text and stuff like this happening, but definitely a confirmation feature I think will be the easiest. And if someone still messes it up, then it's on you at that point. For sure.
Yeah, and if you have any suggestions, feel free to put them in the development channel so I can ignore them and not add them in the future.
Yeah,
But at least I can say that they've been suggested before.
it's true.
I'll be like, oh, here's the thread. You can discuss it here.
All right. Thank you guys so much, everyone, for watching. My name is MansaMusa, and yeah, we'll see you in Comm Tower episode 3. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.